Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday Western U.S. regional forecast video brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, certainly the headlines over the last week have been, in terms of weather, we've been talking a lot about the heat we're going to see this week. And I thought I'd just step back and give you a little bit of longer term perspective. So looking here at data from NOAA and the Western Climate Region, okay, we're looking here at average temperatures in June and historical trends. So we're going to go back to 1948 and look all the way until 2018 at June temperatures. Over that time period, we've actually increased the average June temperature by about 1.5 degrees, which is substantial. And so we can see this longer term trend towards warmer summers here. The most feared weather pattern we have, though, during the summer when we get this extreme heat looks something like this. So I grabbed the warmest Junes on record, and what we notice here is that in general that gives us a big ridge that sits here just off the Aleutian Islands, a deep trough that kind of sneaks from the Gulf of Alaska down there toward Hawaii, and then here it is. This large, highly amplified, we call it an omega pattern, this big ridge that sits right here over parts of the Northwest. And that is the pattern where when teamed up with a trough that sits over the Great Lakes like this, or there between there and the Hudson Bay, that we get very, very hot. And that's exactly what we've got ourselves into. Just showing you the all hazards weather map, you can see that basically stretching from Arizona all the way up into Oregon, we have a large region in here that has excessive heat watches, excessive heat warnings, and we're just going to be dealing with some extreme temperatures in the coming days. And it's all right here in the flow pattern. There it is. Remember what I just showed you? We have this trough that sits, or this little ridge coming in here over the Aleutian Islands, and a deep trough here in the Gulf of Alaska. Then there is our pattern. And that big ridge that you see there just sitting and spinning over the Northwest is what is helping keep these temperatures so high. It's even a bit of a high over low pattern. You can see the low pressure center sitting down here, where the high just sits right off of the West Coast. And that is it. And the more often we see this particular pattern during the summer, the more we're going to see extreme heat. So that is one I want everybody that's watching this to remember we're going to look out for very carefully. Now, what does it do to the surface flow? This is really kind of neat. High pressure center sits here at the surface, low sits here. And there's a huge low right now wrapping itself up just off the tip of the Aleutian Islands. But that's not going to be a main factor because the flow is doing something like this. You can even see it there. And so this is going to send much of the precipitation up toward British Columbia, and we're going to really put a pretty big void here in terms of precip over the next several days along the west coast of the United States. So watch this animation of precipitation every 6 hours through the next 10 days. Here we go. Where do you see the main moisture axis? Like I told you, going right into British Columbia. And therefore we don't expect much rain at all from the Columbia River Basin and through much of Oregon, and then of course not through California over the next 10 days or so here. We're going to talk in a few minutes about what's going on over here in Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, and Colorado. But overall we see that the west coast, due to that large ridge that's forming in the flow, is going to be void of precipitation. Now, what I want to do next is I want to talk about what these temperatures are really looking like. So we're going to start you off here on Tuesday. We're going to kind of play this forward to kind of see what to expect in terms of temperatures. And we see that early in the week is probably going to be, or early to midweek is probably going to be the hottest time period. Stepping you back here, look at this. Central Valley, California, triple-digit heat today. And this is again tomorrow. We're going to continue to see the really, really warm temperatures through Wednesday. We get a bit of moderation by the time we get into Thursday. This is now valid for Friday. Here we are in through the day on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Now we still keep a lot of our temperatures here well into the 90s after the serious heat ends on Thursday. So you'll even see parts of the San Joaquin Valley here still staying up in that 95 to above temperatures. But certainly some high heat. I'm going to take you up now to the northwest. We're going to watch specifically right in through here into parts of the basin, but also right here along the coast of Oregon. You're going to see temperatures in those two regions climbing up pretty high as well. So starting off on Tuesday. This map is valid Tuesday. Kind of play this forward. You can see here we go. Tuesday temperatures. This is now Wednesday. We're going to be seeing temperatures, look at this, right around kind of Yakima, Pasco, getting over right into the valley here. Temperatures getting dangerously close to 100 degrees. Then you see that probably the hottest day for the Columbia Basin will be Thursday. And then after that, we start to see temperatures calming down a bit back into the lower 90s rather than the upper 90s. and we see that carrying on through our weekend. So thinking about these temperatures, I want to at least show you this map. This map shows from the National Digital Forecast Database what we're expecting in terms of total evaporation measured in inches here over the next week. And we will see where those temperatures are highest, like right in through here, evaporation rates exceeding 1.5 to 2 inches, in some locations approaching 3 inches. Of course, the highest are going to be down here in the desert, where we will see widespread 2.5 to 3 inches of water evaporate. But also look right here in the valley. We can see, again, pretty high evapotranspiration rates setting up because of this incredibly hot and dry pattern that's going. Of course, this gets us worried about the threat of fires as well. So we're going to keep a very close eye, especially if the winds start to get really going off the mountains there, screaming through parts of the valley. So be on the lookout. Be very careful over the coming days with this heat, the low humidity, and the high evaporation rates, because fire threat is high. Now, I want to talk a bit about water, though, because we need to understand what is, given all this heat and the evaporation coming through, what's our water picture look like? Well, let's go upstream first. This released by the USGS here and USDA showing us Colorado statewide snowpack. So currently, where we sit right now, snowpack in the mountains in Colorado is still very, very high. And this is kind of representative of a lot of the Intermountain West in terms of snowpack at this point in the year, so well above the climatological average. And as we've shown many times throughout this spring and early summer, our reservoirs in California are well above average and still almost at 90% capacity. So we're doing fine going into the season with our water resources. But as we know, just a normal summer across the West is very taxing on our water resources. I want to take you up north as well. Great website. You can pause the video and type this one in if you want to go out here and check this out. But these are the teacup diagrams here where we can kind of see how full the reservoirs are. And I just took you here to those that are in the Yakima region, and we can see that currently things are looking pretty good at this point. But we'll be using these water resources as we progress through the rest of this summer. So I wanted to give you a quick update on what they look like. Okay, coming back, what are the next 5 days? Well, we know about the scorching heat in this area as that highly amplified flow pattern sets up. We do see a bit of moderation in the 6 to 10 day time period. That's what you see over here on the right. Still above average temperatures, but the pattern does flatten out a bit and features a trough that kind of slides back into the north central plains. And that, by the way, is why you saw all that precip coming through parts of Montana, Idaho, getting over into Wyoming, getting down into Colorado as well once we got toward the end of the animation I showed you a few moments ago. Just check out this pattern though. As I click play, you're going to see this really setting up such that we have a large ridge in the west and a deeper trough over the Great Lakes for several days coming up here. But watch what happens as you get to the end of this animation. I'm talking here about the 23rd, 24th, 25th of June. You start to see things shifting back a bit, and to be honest, there's pretty good model agreement on this pattern setting up like this. So what am I talking about? Well, right now we have this highly amplified pattern. Look, trough sitting over here, big ridge over the west coast, and a trough over the Great Lakes, and that's what's keeping the heat, through much of the next 7 days. But as we progress through, while we tend to keep the heat on through the 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, because we just don't get rid of this ridge, see it? And then the trough is here in the north central plains. Well, by the time we get all the way out, here's the 23rd, 24th, and 25th, we see the models kind of advertising a ridge building into the Gulf of Alaska. If that happens and we get some troughing here, this could bring some pretty serious relief in terms of the temperature stresses we're seeing right now. But I'm out here in the 4th week of June talking about this, so this is pretty far out in the forecast, but it's something we're going to keep a close eye on across the western part of the United States. Okay. All right, what are we doing in terms of precipitation? Well, it's really not, well, you've already seen what's going on the west coast, but we said we need to watch this particular area. You're not going to see much setting up in that area until we get to right there, the 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st. So that is when this corridor gets going again, really maybe the night of the 17th, but 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st is what we're watching over here. West coast, we're really quite high and dry until that point. And it's because we're going to be seeing an upper level trough set up like this, we're going to get some flow around it, and as a consequence, lifting some air on the mountains. Outside of that, it's just going to be daily convection on the mountain. So if you're anywhere else outside of that region over the next 10 days, it's just daily pop-up thunderstorms on the mountains. That's what we're expecting in terms of precip, okay? Nothing major and organized there along the west coast. So that's why when I show you the national blended model here, just getting you out through the next 9 days, so this is through the 19th at 7 p.m., we can see that really it's only this part of the western region that is going to be seeing any sort of precip over that time period, and we just kind of detailed when and where that's going to be. Just to keep you aware of what's going on the other side of the country, where we are already dealing with massive flooding problems, we're going to be adding quite a bit more precipitation, continue to cause some problems here with the Corn Belt. Just want to keep you aware of what's going on there and the major flooding going on our river systems on this side of the mountains. I'll finish with a quick tease about what I'll be talking about in the long-range update tomorrow. It appears as though by the time we get out into the the beginning of July, this is actually valid on July the 4th, we may go back over into a bit of a split flow pattern. We've seen the models hint at this quite a bit, and when that happens, look, the northwest stays warm, but we could bring back in some cooler weather here, cooler than average. Let me make sure that's clear. Cooler than average over parts of California, Nevada, and the Four Corner states. Now, none of this is set in stone, but it's something we're going to have to be watching here as we progress into the heart of our dry season. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this forecast video. We had Nutrien Ag Solutions. We'll be looking forward to our next Western Regional Forecast video. Also, all of the video content that's coming out this week at my.nutrienagsolutions.com. Have a great week. Stay cool, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.